Welcome to the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce News and Views show. I'm your host, Diane Sawyer, and today I have with us local entrepreneur and businessman, Tim Robertson. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Thanks. Good to be here.
I am excited because, my friend, we have a long history of working all of your businesses and all of your things that you do in your spare time.
Yeah, in all my spare time, yes.
But we were just having a really great conversation, so much so that we were being prompted to get on our camera here and do our actual thing. So it's good to see you. It's been a while. And let's talk about some cool things that you have been a part of. Okay. One being right here in Reidsville, right here in downtown. You guys let go of your long owned theater right here in downtown, and it has transitioned into a beautiful new thing. Tell us a little bit about the history on that.
Well, the Rockingham Theatre right across the street over here, that was our first business in Rockingham County. Originally from Raleigh area, and then it was, long story short to how we got here, my dad was always an entrepreneur too. He had his phone business, then he decided he wanted to get into the restaurant business, which was a huge mistake. But we bought a restaurant in Apex and moved that to downtown Graham. And downtown Graham, the restaurant was right across the street from the Graham Cinema. And the restaurant business was so bad, I spent my time hanging out at the movie theater playing video games and got to know the owner over there. And finally convinced Mom and Dad to come over and check out the theater. It was just so cool that they walked the aisles, made sure nobody was talking, had a balcony you could sit in, just like the Rockingham Theatre. And Mom and Dad come over and both of them fell in love with it. And Dad was like, "We got to do this. Where's one like this?" And Tim Matthews was the owner at the time, and he said, "Well, there's one right in Reidsville." And I didn't know it because we hadn't really talked about family history, but this is where my family's originally from. And so we came up here and came and looked at the theater, and it had been shut down for probably more than 20 years at the time. And we come in, and my dad's just looking around, and there's pigeons flying around, and it stinks in there, and everything's tore up. And Dad's like, "Can't you see it? Can't you hear it? See what? The pigeons flying around? Hear them flapping behind? Yeah, I can see and hear. No, you can't see the movie on the screen and hear the kids laughing at it? No, we really can't hear that." And so Dad was the one who pushed getting the theater, and then we all fell in love with it, and it became a passion of ours. And it was a tough decision when we closed it. But the building, it needed a lot of repair work, and as you said, we have a lot of things going on. So we didn't have the time or really the energy at the time to go in there and fix it up like it needed to be. So we made the tough decision to go ahead and close it. And then we put it on the market and didn't really put it out there big time, but the city of Reidsville came to us and said, "Hey, since it's closed, we've got a couple that would love to come in here." And that was where we met Dewey and Leslie Brown, and they just fell in love with the place, and we made a great deal for everybody. And they went in there and they've turned it into the Reidsville Showcase Theater, and they've had some really big names, and they've just recently been putting out all the upcoming shows, and I'm excited for them and for Reidsville, and I really want to make it over there and watch a couple of the shows too. But they've done a lot of work fixing it up, and I'm glad. I think it worked out great because I wanted it to go to somebody that was going to love it the way we did, but had the time and the energy to put into it to really fix it back up, and they have done just that.
It is the coolest thing, I think, in my lifetime that I have seen your family do with business, because there are things that I remember, and we're going to talk about it in a minute, some of the other things you've done. But I'm from Eden, and so I grew up in Eden, and we'll talk about that in a second. So I grew up going to the movie theater at Kingsway, and didn't come to Reidsville much, but my mother started working at Annie Penn, has been here now for almost 30 years. And when the theater was open, a couple of really cool things for us, my in-laws had their first date there. They watched Grease. And I remember coming to see, it was either Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or something. It was like one of the midnight shows or Twilight,
Oh, yeah.
something that came out, and you were the only one showing it anywhere around. And I was working late in a restaurant and needed a late showing, and so we came when it came out. And so there's like a couple of really cool things around there that I just love. But now even I've been to see Colin Ray since it's been, and he was a wonderful show. And again, like that's kind of hometown. Like I grew up in the 90s listening to country music, and I remember hearing him playing on the radio, and we had like front row seats. So I mean, he was just right there, and all these songs. I took my dad, I took my husband and my in-laws, and we just had this great time of, just fun and fellowship and family and music. And so it's kind of come full circle for me. I love it. I love Leslie and Dewey are so wonderful. They're the sweetest people. And they have their hands in a lot too.
Yes, they do.
So as a musical act themselves, and their growing family, and they have another location, actually two, because they have the outdoor and then they have the other location that's like that. So they have a lot going on. But I was really happy to see that transition. A lot of people were worried. A lot of people, social media, people, the small town rumors and so it has really become a jewel that I think will continue to grow. And like you said, they're putting out some great names for these upcoming fall season. So, and I think we're planning a ribbon cutting to finally have their big to do. And it was such a cool announcement when they made it out in the street, when they were buying it from you all. And oh goodness, and the pandemic, right? And like all the things.
That
and
affected everybody.
It did, and the red tape. So transitioning to some of the other, because you kind of had a little, like one of our memberships that we have listed for you was a little conglomerate of all of the movie screens that you could see things. And so transitioning to Kingsway, sadly, that has closed.
Yes, very sad.
I think we had a discussion probably several years ago about it was going to continue to be tough to have that open. And when you closed this theater, it was a very tough decision. And so we're sad about that. But there is an up note. Something that you were working on is now that there's 2 screens at the drive-in.
Oh, yes.
And for me, that came open again when I was in high school. And I remember a group of my friends who are part of the family that live right there, and they were like, hey, we could go hang out and cook out at grandma's house, and then we'll all walk over there. And so we would lay our blankets out right there at the front, and we didn't even drive. And sometimes we would drive over, and sometimes we would walk through the ticket booth. So we for me, that's like my teenage years, and and my young, that independence and that freedom and being able to go see the movies with my friends and driving, and everybody piling up in a pickup truck or in an SUV, and then being able to take my kids, like that has just been the coolest thing. And people come from all over.
They really do.
It's nuts to me. I mean, the line of traffic down Washington Street is crazy.
It is, and it's just the drive-in. That was another one of those dad's vision things, and it was interesting. We had a guy working for us that knew about the drive-in. We had no idea because we lived over in Reidsville. And he took Dad over there to the drive-in, and they actually went walking around inside, and there was trees growing up everywhere. You couldn't actually drive a vehicle up there. So they parked down at the ticket box area and walked up there, walked around, looked through the concession stand, which had graffiti and all the windows busted out and everything else. And Dad's sitting there looking at it, and it's like, this is pretty cool. Because he grew up in Burlington, where there was a couple of drive-ins down there. He remembered going there. And he's just looking at it, like, this is pretty cool. I like this. And they ended up coming back over, and it was about a year later. It had just sat there and just wore on him and wore on him and wore on him. And Dad's like, I just got to go over there and look at it again. So he went over there and looked, and it was for sale by Fleming Realty. And it turns out it was actually some of our distant family that owned the drive-in. So right across the street was Dillard Robertson, and him and his brothers and sisters owned the drive-in, and we didn't realize, so distant relatives had it anyways. So we went in there and made them an offer and worked out a deal, and we go in there, and all the speaker posts were still up in the ground, so we had to get all those things pulled up so we could transmit on FM stereo. And it was, again, just a passion thing, and Dad running around, this is exciting, can't you see it, can't you see it? No, I can see my back breaking. That's all I can see right now. So, but we went in there, and that has been one of the most fun businesses we have ever done. And it really shocked us because we get a lot of local people too. But like you said, the majority of the business for the drive-in comes from everywhere. We get people that come here from Raleigh, from Greensboro, Winston, Danville, Martinsville, all over Virginia. We got families that come from Roanoke all the time. And it has really blown our minds how much people support the drive-in. But where it's so unique, there's not that many people want to have that experience, and even with gas prices the way they are, we have it very cost effective. See 2 movies for really the price of 1. And like you said, now we have 2 screens, and that was something Dad pushed for a long time. He wanted to twin the drive-in. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. We don't need 2 screens. We do just fine with 1 screen. And then finally it got to the point with the way the movies were coming out, it started making sense, having multiple movies coming out week after week after week. And you have to keep a movie, when you do the contract for the movie, you have to keep it at least 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes longer if it's doing real good. So when you do that, you're not able to offer new product for people to come back every single week. So now with that second screen, like this weekend, we've had Top Gun Maverick for 2 weekends, and we have packed a lot for 2 weekends. But now this weekend, we've got Jurassic World Dominion coming out. So we're moving Top Gun over to the smaller screen so that way people can come back and pack the lot for the new movie again. So it's given a variety, but it's also given us a way to rotate the movies to, just like you do it in a big indoor theater, rotate the movies and bring the new movie into the bigger screen. So that part has been really helpful. It's already paid for itself putting that second screen up, but it's been really cool doing that.
I remember when you first started talking to me about we're going to do it and we're going to, and it was just, it's so exciting to think that our little small town Rockingham County was going to have a 2-screen, drive-in theater. Because like you said, there's just not that many around. And we've talked about, what the future looks like. And so that'll be really cool if things, work themselves out. But something that y'all did that I was so proud of, so many of our businesses struggled and so many of our people struggled to continue life as normally as possible, especially for the kids.
Yeah.
And you guys did 2 different types of things where you were able to help people make things happen that were normal for kids. And one of those was graduation.
That was an amazing night. It really was. We had offered, just trying to come up with an idea. And I talked to Dr. Shotwell. Me and him, we've became pretty good friends over the years. And I talked to Dr. Shotwell. I was like, if there's anything we can do, let us know. And one of the things we did is we donated, when we replaced all the seats at Kingsway, we donated those old seats. There were some seats in one of the schools in the county that had to be taken out of the auditorium because of lead paint and everything. So we donated all the seats in the theater to the school system. And we told them, was like, we just don't have the time to get the seats out and to you. So they sent the maintenance crews in, ripped all the seats up and took them out there. So that kind of began a really good friendship with Dr. Shotwell because we've always been supportive of the school system. And I called him up. I was like, if there's anything we can do, let us know. And we started talking about it. He said, I just don't know if we can get an entire graduation out there. I was like, we can, how many kids are we talking? We started talking all the details. And I told him, I said, we can make it happen. You just, one way or another, we can make this happen. We want to do something special to make it to where all the kids graduating, they don't need to have to sit there and say, oh, you're graduated, and if you want to come back 6 months later to walk across the stage, you can do that. That's not fair to anybody. They worked hard to
no, and it wouldn't have happened the way that things cycled back. It wouldn't have happened in 6 months.
That's right. So we sat there and looked at it, and then Principal Moody, he came out there. Him and Dr. Shotwell, we started looking at everything, and we started talking about, because to do anything, the good thing about the drive-in, it was built-in social distancing because you're in your car anyways, and then we put stakes out there so you parked in a designated area and you had your distance between everybody. We transitioned the concession stand to where you order outside so nobody was coming in and doing things like that, and that's worked out really well. So I knew the rules, and we sat there and started looking at it, and we started spacing the chairs out with 6 feet in between the chairs. and had plenty of room plus extra space. Had the stage out there. Roy Sawyers with Rockingham Update came out and did the filming of everything. And I mean, it was just, everything worked out great. And then it was kind of a last minute deal. Dr. Shotwell and Principal Moody wanted to do something really special for the kids. And we wanted to have all the schools out there graduating, but the schools made their own choices, and Moorhead overwhelmingly said they wanted to graduate at the drive-in. So at the end, as soon as Principal Moody said, "Congratulations, you're graduated," it was some phrase he said that was the key. Across the street in our family's pasture across the street, we had it set up with fireworks and had one of the most amazing fireworks displays that we've ever seen. And it's just, even though we've only done the one graduation, that's something that graduating class will never forget. And I'm just glad we were able to do something to make it special for them.
Well, it's funny. I'm class of '99 Moorhead, and we had our reunion not that long ago, and even during the pandemic, those that I still talk to, they were like, "Well, we would have liked to have graduated the drive-in."
Yeah.
And for us, it's nostalgia because the drive-in came back when we were in high school. So, and I could see why, given a choice, they would, because I'm sure that felt very hometown to them, and that's something they'll never forget. I mean, that's just, so the whole time is something that all of us will probably never forget. But that was really made special for them. And then the other thing is the dance recital, and that has been really cool and continued to go on.
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, where all the dance studios in the area, and we actually had a couple of dance studios from Greensboro come in too. They would do closed recitals for their end of the year recital, and have somebody professionally record it and just bring it out to me. You can either bring it out DVD or flash drive, whatever, and I can hook my laptop up to the projectors. That's one really good thing about digital. You're really flexible with what you can do, but just project it up on the screen. And it was really cool because it took away from the recitals, because you couldn't have anybody but immediate family in there. So you couldn't have it in the big auditoriums for everybody to come in and see it. So it didn't, they were just in there dancing in front of a camera. But to know that they were going to come out there and have everybody, all their family and friends, come to the drive-in, see them larger than life on the biggest screen around. And you should hear the kids out there. They're all cheering for the other ones that are on the screen and hollering out their names. And it's a lot of fun out there. And one of the biggest supporters of that has been Melanie Pascal-Wiles and her dance studio. She did it, we actually just got done last week or week before last. We did another one out there, and that's the third one we've done with her. And she said that all the parents, she said even though they're going back to doing the normal recitals next year, she still wants to continue doing it at the drive-in. I was like, we can continue doing that. I love it. Seeing the kids out there running around, and some of the dance. And I was never into dance, but it is really cool watching some of the stuff that these kids can do.
It really is, and I have friends that dance in Eden with Melanie, and they have just loved it. You know, they have just said it's so cool to see them on the big screen, and they've personally loved the smaller closed recitals. And I think that it was just a really cool resolution. Again, the people who suffered most, other than those who were sick and those who lost people along the way, were the kids. They suffered in school, they suffered in activities, they suffered with special moments in their life that they were never going to get back. And, proms and dance recitals and graduations. And, we as a community, I really feel like in all areas did the absolute best we could with what we had at the time. And, our local school system and our local Reidsville Area Foundation has always been a huge supporter. The Education Foundation, huge supporter. And, Reidsville Area Foundation is leading this digital broadband plan so that our businesses, our schools, our homes have more ability to have access to broadband, because that was such a problem for us in this rural area. And if we want to have more at-home workers, if we want to have a better workforce, if we want our students to be able to work anywhere, if we want our businesses to be able to continue, because like you said, being digital, it's so freeing, and it gives you so many more options. But if you don't have access to the internet, you can't do those things.
Absolutely.
Which brings me to in all your spare time.
Absolutely.
The other things that you do. So tell us a little bit about that business and what you do, or kind of twofold businesses that you have.
Yeah, it is twofold. Like I said, my dad has always been an entrepreneur, and he had his telephone business based out of Raleigh. He incorporated in 1980. And so that's one of those things, everybody asks, talks about my childhood. My childhood was, as soon as I was able to turn a screwdriver, I was with him going around courthouses in North Carolina and businesses in North Carolina and putting jacks on and setting phones out and things like that. And that exposed me to so many amazing things. As my dad's business, it was voice telecommunications. That business was the first master contract holder for the courthouses in North Carolina. So we actually went around to every courthouse in North Carolina and put in phone systems. And at an age of 10, 11, 12 years old, I'm going around putting jacks on and setting phones out, and I'm meeting these big-time judges. And at the time, is the Chief Justice for North Carolina was Chief Justice Jim Exum. Met him personally going in there working on his phone. Met another judge, went in there, and he asked me one time, it was so funny. He said, "Why do they call your dad Diamond Dave?" I had never heard it before in my life. And I said, "I guess it's just because he's the best, sir." He says, "I'm going to tell your dad you need a raise." Thank you. But it was, doing stuff like that and the experiences. And at certain times, I was a little bit bitter because I wasn't one to be able to go out and play a lot of games with friends, or go hang out with friends, go play ball games. I did play Little League for a little while, but other than that, it was on weekends. It was going around putting in phone systems. And like I said, at first I was a little bitter about that, but that has become my passion. Yeah, theater business is a passion. It really is. But when I went to my first telephone school to get certified, I went up to Charlottesville, Virginia, to ComDial, and got certified on their phone system and their voicemail system. Had no desire to be up there. I was just going up there because I knew a little bit more about computers, and Dad was wanting me to go up there and learn that, help him out. And he said, "You learn that, help me get through a couple of these to learn it good myself. I won't ever ask you to do telephone again." Winning. And I went up there, and in 1 week, it was completely eye-opening. I guess it's a lot of things with kids. They want to do the opposite of what their parents tell them they need to do. And hearing it from somebody else and experiencing that side of things, I came back and haven't wanted to do anything else other than telephone since then. And so when Dad got ready to retire from telephone and focus just on doing drive-ins and movie theaters, because this was around the time we opened up our other drive-in down in Albemarle, close to Charlotte, and that's the Baden Road Drive-In, which is also a twin, really cool. But about that time, he decided, I'm ready to start scaling back, willing to help you, whatever you need, because Dad was always supportive with whatever. He said, but it's time if you want to do telephone. We're closing the books on voice communications. And he said he was doing that for twofold. One, he didn't want his name from anybody that he had possibly crossed to affect me in a negative way. And at the same time, he didn't want his name to put me in a position that I didn't earn. And I respected that. I really did, because I wanted to make a name for myself. And so at that time, I started incorporated Southeastern Data Communications. And it started growing like crazy, because it was something weird. Yes, it was my business now. Instead of me going out there doing work for my family, it was my business. So I started hitting it a little bit harder. But the name of the business helped out too, as far as letting people know, instead of just voice communications, just looking at doing phone systems, I was getting into doing data networking and pulling cable and things like that. So it started growing leaps and bounds. And then when the pandemic started hitting, that really opened my eyes to a lot of things. Because like you're talking about, that exposed a real need in Rockingham County and any other rural county with not having good internet access. And that's good for business too, being able to get this good high-speed internet access into the rural areas, because now we can really attract businesses. Because before, they would have to be in the city limits to get any kind of internet, and then that's hit or miss as well. So getting this upgraded stuff, now we're going to be able to really attract business to come in. But with everybody having to work from home, and we didn't know where the end was coming, That got me thinking about it, and I started a second telephone business, like you said, in all my spare time. And but the two businesses work hand in hand. I still have Southeastern, and that focuses more on doing the on-premise phone systems and the cabling, the on-premise cabling. My second business is Alpha and Omega Telecom Group. And with that company, I told my wife, I said, I've got a feeling that I need to start this type of business right now. If I don't do it now, because of our schedule, I'm not going to. And we're going to miss out on a real opportunity. And so she's just kind of like, whatever. And then when I started it, she's like, when did you do this? When I was sitting at the drive-in one night doing a concert, and where we had live concerts, live Christian concerts, I would have to be at the drive-in all day. So I sat back there on the laptop and just started investigating and seeing exactly what I needed to do. And that day, I submitted all my paperwork and incorporated Alpha and Omega. And with that company, what I've done is I have white labeled my own hosted phone system. So you can work from home and have a business line there, business phone. You can take that phone with you anywhere. It also works on a cell phone app. You can use it with a web browser. Just plug up a headset to your laptop, and anywhere you go, you're connected. And that's been really important for a lot of people, because with not knowing what's going on, you can't be out of business. So if you can work from home, you can work from home. If you're on the road, you can still work. If you want to go into the office, just take your desk phone back in the office, plug it in, you're good to go. So doing the work from home, doing the hosted solution was really important. I also do SIP trunking, which is internet dial tone. So anybody that needs it, CenturyLink, Spectrum, companies like that, they're direct competition for me. Even though I still work with them, I can resell internet from any company. I'm a master agent for that. So I resell internet for Spectrum, for CenturyLink, for AT&T. All the major companies I can resell internet for, and I don't tack anything on top of that. That's just the same price that you could get, but I handle the heavy lifting and get all the paperwork done and get the scheduling done.
Which is very important to small business owners, because that makes such a difference when you have somebody you know, somebody personal, somebody local that you can rely on for issues and for getting things up and running, because it's overwhelming to open a business. It's overwhelming to work for yourself. It's overwhelming to run somebody else's business.
It is. Well, and Tim Jenkins used to run consumer finance in Eden. Now he has a couple of finance companies in Virginia, and he's actually one of my neighbors. And he came by and talked to me one day, and this was right after I started. It was like perfect timing. And he was my first customer with Alpha and Omega. And he came by and he asked me, he goes, I'm looking to upgrade my internet. The internet we got is terrible, so I'm going from this company to this company. And he goes, they're wanting to charge me this price, and I just need some help with this. Tell me what we need to do. I said, I actually can do it too. Give me a chance. Don't tell me the price. Don't tell me all the details. Just let me see what I can do for you. I'll call you back tomorrow. So I called him up the next day, and I told him, I said, okay, I can get you this internet at this speed, this price, and gave him all the details. He goes, wait a minute. The salesperson that came in here, this was the same stuff I was getting from them. How is yours $20 or $30 a month cheaper? And I told him, and this is what I tell everybody, because I only sell you what you need. I don't upsell you on anything. And so the salesperson, and I'm not going to hold anything against the salesperson, they have to make money too, but they were upselling them with saying, you need this many static IP addresses, which with the business he's in, he didn't need any. You need this many email addresses. Well, your email's handled through this other stuff, so you don't need any of that. You need all this or this or this. No, you just need internet. That's all you need, and I can provide you the internet at this cheaper price.
Right.
And that's what I try to do for all my customers. I try to give a white glove service to where every customer, they deal with me directly when we first go in. They deal with me. I go in and assess what they need. I can do their internet. I can do their phones, and I can save them a bunch of money by getting their dial tone away from the phone company. Average phone bill is going to be $40 to $50 a month for their dial tone. I can provide the phone and the dial tone for $20 a month.
It's amazing what you do. We could probably talk for hours about all the things that you have, and I love talking to you when we do, but we are out of time for today. Is there anything you want to share that we didn't hit on or talk about, or that you would want folks to know?
Just what we posted online about Kingsway. Just the first thing is what we posted online about Kingsway. We do thank everybody, the entire community, from the bottom of our hearts. This goes with the Rockingham Theatre as well, for all the years of support. We could not do what we're doing right now if it hadn't been for so much support from all the community. We are still, the drive-in, we don't rent that from anybody. That's ours, so we're not going to get forced out there. Come support us at the drive-in. You can come see us there. $7 for adults, $5 for kids. Kids 6 and under are free. So bring the little ones. They get in, don't have to pay anything. We have great family environment out there, great food, as you can see. But it's just come and support us out there. We still have the good prices, the family atmosphere, and we still like seeing everybody. I've seen kids since I've been out there. I've seen kids, little kids, grow up and bring in their little kids now. And it really is a family out there. So, come out there, support us. Thank you for all the support. We hated that we had to close Kingsway. It's another story for another time, but just know that it was not our choice, but we are still in the movie business. And as far as from the telephone side of things, if you need anything, give me a call. All my information's here at the chamber. Give me a call, and we're going to run a special in July for chamber members. We always give free consultations. But anybody that wants us to come out and look at anything, and they sign up with us through the month of July, first month of everything, no matter how many phones it is or anything, first month is free.
That's awesome. Well, we will definitely be promoting that, and your information will be on the screen for folks to look at too.
Awesome.
So, Thank you so much for joining us today, Tim.
Thank you.
It was really a pleasure.
Same here. Thanks.
All right, folks. As always, you can find us in downtown Reidsville at 140 South Scale Street. Come by and see us at the Visitor Center. You can find us on social media and on our website, www.reidsvillechamber.org. That is all for now, and stay tuned. We'll see you next time.